We are approximately 100 days in to 120 days in, more or less, to the presidency of Donald J. Trump. Now, the president has expressed a desire to rule over America as a dictator. People have said that he plans to replace democracy with autocracy and bring about the establishment of a fascist regime here in the United States of America. So what is fascism? It's a concentration of power, wealth, and income in the hands of a few paranoid, oppressive, violent people. So, in order to achieve this, a large middle class must be replaced with psychotic extremes of poverty and wealth. And it appears that a coalition of supporters enabled him to return to power as the President of the United States. So, in order to defeat the fascists here in the United States of America, it will be necessary for us to deprive the fascists of their supporters, their collaborators. And we can describe the collaborators as follows. Of course, there are the billionaires and multimillionaires and their cadre of collaborators. There is the white supremacists, and then there's the Christian nationalists. And they all want a certain something from this new fascist regime. Christian nationalists hope that the tyrant will reward them for their support by establishing an orthodoxy, sponsoring their religion. In the United States of America, at least up until this point in time, we've had a separation between church and state. What does that mean? That means the state stays out of the church's business, and conversely, the church stays out of the state's business, meaning that the church doesn't attempt to get the state to sponsor a particular religion and promote that religion as a state religion, an orthodoxy. Now, I wanted to talk about this push on the part of Christians to do away with the separation of church and state, and remark that people who believe in the value of a secular pluralistic society, people who believe in the value of freedoms and rights, responded to this push to do away with the separation between church and state in the wrong way, in my opinion. Their response was, well, we have to respect their faiths, right? We have to respect their faith. So what happened was we allowed Christians and evangelicals and all the rest of these people to live in a bubble, right? Closed off from the rest of the world where they could join together in agreement on a lie. The lie is these pessimistic myths are truths. Pessimistic myths were good entity rules in heaven, the good entity is at war with an evil entity, the evil entity rules over the earth. A system of divine eternal reward and abominable infernal punishment exists. The system compels the faithful. The faithful observe and obey the will of the good entity. The faithful disregard and disobey the will of the evil entity. We allowed these people to join together in their churches and agree with one another on these belief in the value of these pessimistic myths. We did not challenge their values at all. Instead, we said to ourselves, we must respect their faith. That was a mistake. Because their push to do away with the separation of church and state was our invitation to bring the cultural war they are so fond of waging to their home turf. And that doesn't mean to go on the attack against churches or to do anything violent or disruptive or even rude. It's not necessary. It means only to use nothing more serious than the simple communication of ideas. What we should have been doing, and what we still can do, is we can go to their churches. It's up to you whether or not you want to sit through a sermon, but that's not something to be disrupted. It's not polite to talk over, interrupt, or disrupt in any way a church service. But look for opportunities wherein some form of discussion is possible. Maybe a church social, maybe a Bible study. Go and attend these functions and put a human face on the outsider whom they choose to condemn as evil. That is what we should have done. We should have gone directly into their churches and shone a light on the darkness of their lies. The lie is these pessimistic myths are truths. Now, how could we, let's suppose a person was going to do this, such a thing. What would be the proper approach? First step to deprogramming a cult member, and this is a cult, I call it a megafauna of death cult, because it's teaching people to behave like racist, fascist warmongers. It's teaching people to channel all sexual energy into sex for procreative purposes, work all of the hours of the day from dawn to dusk, fight against anybody who's not doing the same thing, fight against anybody who's not believing in the same way as they do. That's called racist, fascist warmongering. They may talk to you about peace, claiming that their Savior is the Prince of Peace, but it is peace on their terms that they're offering. And what are their terms? Their terms are universal submission to the will of the good entity. Well, universal submission to the will of the good entity is not a heaven on earth. It is a spiritual slavery. Spiritual slavery to a few paranoid, oppressive, violent people will not save us. We are saved. We have been saved. We always will be saved.